Hi folks, and welcome to the Meaningful Money podcast. This is session number 372. This is the podcast dedicated to helping you put your finances in order. My name is Pete Matthew, and I'm going to share with you everything you need to know and everything you need to do to secure your financial future. I'm here to help you make sense of money. Hello, great to have you with me. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Today is a little bit different because I'm just answering a bunch of questions that you have left. If you're in the Facebook group, you are in the Facebook group, right? MeaningfulMoney.tv/community, and sort of generally on the social medias, all the stuff that you've always wanted to know and probably some stuff that you didn't. No reviews or anything this week because it's a little bit of a longer show than normal, but as ever, remember this podcast continues to be brought to you with the help of my friends at 7 Investment Management. They've been helping me out here on Meaningful Money for ages, and I'm super grateful to them for doing that. So please check out what they're up to. They're at 7im.co.uk. Okay, so this is simply to celebrate in a kind of a low-key way the 10th anniversary of Meaningful Money. Didn't feel right to sort of make a big song and dance about it, crack any champagne bottles or whatever while the whole lockdown COVID-19 thing is ongoing. So this is just a conversation between me and my youngest daughter, Kate. The audio isn't anywhere like the standard I'd like it to be. I hope you can still enjoy it. I'll just blame working from home for that and the complexities of having to mic two people up with somewhat limited kit. Should still be able to hear it all okay. So normally at this point I would say, look, notes and links of today's show are at the show notes, which is the only link you need to remember. MeaningfulMoney.tv/session 372. But really today there aren't any notes of value, so don't worry too much about that. What you do need to know, though, is that Meaningful Academy Phase 2, which we're calling Build Wealth, is now live. So this is the phase of the Academy that deals comprehensively with building an investment portfolio, planning which tax wrappers to use, and, crucially, it provides access to the best financial planning tool in the world for consumers, an app called Voyant Go. So we're currently offering a launch discount of £125 off the full price until midnight Friday the 15th of May. After that, the price will never be this low again, okay? So Friday the 15th of May, there's no coupon codes or anything else to remember. You just have to head over to meaningfulacademy.com and everything is set up with the special launch pricing. Midnight, Friday the 15th of May, the prices go up. Okay? Here's my conversation with my youngest daughter, Kate, asking your questions. Okay, so to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Meaningful Money, despite the straitened circumstances we find ourselves in, this is a working from home anniversary special. I'd have loved to have done all kinds of other things, but it doesn't really feel right in the current circumstances. But I am once again joined by my youngest and not favourite daughter, Kate Matthew.
Hello.
Now, Kate's, obviously been around for as long as I've been doing Meaningful Money. She'll probably vaguely remember it at the start. But she's come a long way from this particular episode.
Oh, no.
There you go. Told you.
The cringe.
So I asked you, the audience, to just fire any question you wanted to ask at me with the caveat that it couldn't be about finance because, you know, we do that every week for the last 10 years. So this is just a chat between me and Kate, but asking your questions. So there's some vague sections. There is some stuff about Meaningful Money. There's some stuff unrelated to that, sort of loosely personal. Is that what I've called it?
Personal and quick fire.
And we have a quick fire round. It's so exciting. So we'll see how this all pans out. This is a ludicrously elaborate setup
in my Kate's tiny room.
So let's just hope it works and I don't have to do it again. Okay, Kate, let's get started with the Meaningful Money related questions.
Okie dokie. Okay. Phil Payton asks, I guess you may have made bloopers before when recording, but I guess you edit them out or re-record. What's the funniest one that you have made?
Easily the funniest one I actually left in, and I put it at the end of the video. The Money Vision Song Contest video where I took my trousers off, singing a version of Making Your Mind Up by Bucks Fizz, which of course made memorable by the Bucks Fizz ladies going from long skirts to short skirts. Ladies, yeah. So I thought I needed to put a spin on that. So Joe sewed some Velcro into some trousers so that I could whip them off like a stripper. I did that, and it was like a one-time thing. There was no way I could have done it more than once. Pulled them off, and we absolutely collapsed laughing, and I did leave it in, actually. Also did some dubious accents, so watch the Money Vision Song Contest video and watch it all the way to the end for some good outtakes.
Okay, Steve Waddle? Steve Waddle asks, which episode are you most proud of, whether it's because no one else has covered the subject, or you just think it's good quality?
There's a gentleman, just let me read his name.
Bezhat Yagi.
So Bezhat Yagi suggested it might be the J.L. Collins podcast interview. That probably is one of my favourites. Certainly it's my favourite interview ever. I was actually really proud of video episode 31, which must be going back to 2011, maybe even late 2010. And that was about explaining how shares work and supply and demand using a stick in a field. And do you remember that one?
I remember that. Whoa!
So I remember that one. I remember being quite pleased with that one. I watched that one back recently. I thought, actually, that was a really good explanation, and I was quite proud of that. But other than that, in terms of the quality of the videos, I'm really glad we've shifted to a seasons format. I just think that works really well. It gives me a chance to get into a subject in depth, so it works well. But I think that stroke shares video is probably one of my favourite videos of all time.
It's weird how I remember that. Paul Hamilton asks, if you could interview anyone on your podcast, who would it be?
It'd have to be Gary Vaynerchuk.
You do love him.
He is my hero. Plus, I think the more I read some of the Stoic stuff, and I know I've been listening and reading and watching Gary Vee for 10 years, I think he might be the greatest modern day Stoic, actually. But you'd never think that to listen to him. You have to really, really listen to him to get that. But I just think he'd be good value. I'd probably lose my clean rating, though, because he's very sweary. Alan
Church says, when you first started Mimo, what was your goal? Have you achieved this, and how has the original goal changed over time?
Okay, I always sound kind of like nauseatingly altruistic. You know what altruistic means?
I do know what altruistic means. A-level philosophy.
So I always feel quite altruistic because it genuinely, the idea was to get decent information out there, and it just kind of happened to coincide with the fact that I'm a nerd and I like technology and software, and I've wanted to learn how to edit videos. And so I thought, well, okay, I can get decent information out there and get to mess around with technology, so it was a good fit, really. But there was never any intention of it being a marketing engine. I don't think the phrase content marketing was even invented then. So that was never a part of it. I never intended to make any money out of it. I was shaking when I rang the guys at 7 a.m. and said, look, this is going quite well. Do you fancy putting some money on it and I'll stick your logo? And they said yes, incredibly. And 9 years later, they're still sponsoring me. So, I never intended to make any money out of it, but it's changed in that I think, see its full potential, and we've nowhere near realised it yet. So I have big plans for it now, but I didn't at day one for sure.
Bit cheesy, but cute.
Okay.
Good answer then. But
cheesy, okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Okay, Caroline Hanson asks an amazing question. If they made a Mimo movie, who would play you?
Well, my immediate reaction to that was George Clooney, at which point...
Dream on.
At which point Joe collapsed in laughter and said, more like James Corden, which I think is probably a better fit.
Although I love James Corden.
Yeah, no, I wonder why she suggested him.
Oh dear. Colin Fraser asks, where would you like Meaningful Money to be in 10 years' time?
Okay, I'd like to be doing it full time, and I would like it to be a sort of household name. That would be great. I mean, if I could even a fraction of somebody like Martin Lewis of Money Saving Expert or anything like that, just where pretty much most people, or many people, have heard of Meaningful Money, as opposed to, I mean, I have a big audience now, but relative to the size of the UK population, it's tiny, of course. So I'd like it to be a household name. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. And I was about to say, people would be like, are you Pete Matthews' daughter?
Just because you want to be recognised, like, are you the one who was in that video?
Oh no, they'd see all the bad ones.
They would.
Lynn Hamilton says, do you think most financial advisors turn out to be millionaires because they know all the facts?
Most financial advisors do not turn out to be millionaires, not least because Well, it's the same logic as, dentists with bad teeth and hairdressers with bad hair. It's like, okay, they know what to do, but don't do it themselves. I don't know, but I imagine there's a worrying number of financial advice businesses who are very close to going to the wire at any one point because they're too dependent on overselling to people. And most financial advisors, those that do become millionaires, are either brilliant at their job and have a sort of rabid fan base of clients who have stayed with them for generations, or they're overcharging for not much service.
Ooh,
and there's plenty
controversial.
more in the latter, I think, than in the former category.
Oh dear. Okay. Arif Hussein, am I saying that right? Sorry if I butcher your name. Advice for any budding podcasters on setting up and initial startup costs.
Okay, you don't need all the garbage that I've got around me here. Thousands of pounds worth of kit. You can get started on your iPhone. The trick, I think, to starting with a podcast is firstly to make sure your audio is silky quality. Okay, so audio is really important. So you need to have a decent microphone, but you can use free software like Audacity in your laptop or GarageBand if you're on a Mac, and for £100 get a decent USB mic like an Audio-Technica ATR 2100, something like that, plug straight into the computer and just start talking. So it doesn't take a lot of money. I think I started in the end. Remember, I was sponsored for doing the videos before I began the podcast, so I had enough money to spend about £1,000 on kit. This is the original microphone that I've used since day one. That's about £200 with a mixer and all the stuff that I had at day one. It's probably about £1,000. You just don't need it. More important than anything is the content. So I always say to anybody, if you're going to start a podcast or a YouTube channel where you are providing information and not just being entertaining, then you need to have at least 50 subject lines or titles for an episode based on the kind of questions that your audience would be asking you. Because if you can come up with 50 episodes, then you'll be well into a rhythm. Most podcasts never make it past episode 7. Did you know that?
7? Mm-hmm. Fair play to you then.
Well, yeah, this will be 370 something.
Subtle flex. Not even subtle, just
Maybe
a flex.
Yes. It's true, I rock.
That's just your opinion. Okay. That is the end of the Mimo related ones.
Excellent questions, everybody.
They were very good. I like the film
Now it gets
one.
personal though, right?
It does.
Uh-oh.
Well, not too personal.
That's my inside leg size. That's good. Who wants to know that? Not you. Okay, first question. I've just grossed out my daughter.
Not the first time. Ian Vogue says, favourite travel destination, ideal place to retire, and are they the same?
We're both weeping from laughing. My ideal travel destination, I would say, would probably be America. I would really love to explore America, but I would never want to retire there. I would not want to retire really anywhere other than Cornwall, because I love it.
Yeah, I'd like to go to America too. John Hull says, what is your bucket list holiday destination? So
Okay, well, I suppose if bucket list, other than the moon, which is unlikely,
Why would that
probably wouldn't be a
bucket
holiday.
list?
But I think if I could, I'd love to explore Scandinavia, and I'd love to go to New Zealand. But I think if I could, I think there's a question in there somewhere. It might not be next, or it might be, but something about if we could do a holiday, like the four of us, just 4, 5, 6 week holiday or something. I would definitely do a road trip across America, a massive RV, and go from east to west. Love that. End up in San Diego for a week. That'd be
Nice.
great. Mm-hmm.
And I've got 2 pen pals in America. Can we go visit them?
Could do. Well, if we've got an RV, we can go anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Don't call it an RV.
Well, that's what they call it, isn't it? What do we call it? A Winnebago. A camper van.
I've never heard that word before.
What, Winnebago?
I was expecting camper van or caravan. And you whip out Winnebago.
Okay, get it together. Yeah.
Okay. James Peebles says, if you could go back in time and do life, all again, what would you do differently?
I tell you what I would have done differently. I would have moved to Cornwall earlier because I resisted massively because Mum and I got married in 1997. We moved down 5 years later, 5.5 years later. And because I wasn't moving to Cornwall. It was at the end of the world. I'm not moving down there. Why would I want to live down there? It's nothing ever's going to happen down there. But I think life would have been quite different. I mean, you never know. You are the sum of all your experiences and lessons learned and stuff like that. But so I guess I just would have learned some different ones. But I think if I could do it again, I would not have resisted. Plus, we'd be a lot richer.
How?
Because we nearly bought a house in Mousel.
Oh, we did, didn't we? Well, I say we.
Yes, we. You were butter twinkle in my eye at the time. But it was on the market for 55,000 quid, and that's pretty much exactly what we bought our house for in Cardiff when we first got married. Okay. That house subsequently sold for $750,000.
Well, could be doing America then.
Yeah, exactly. Real life.
Will Smith asks, if your wife was asked to describe you, what would she say? Oh.
I will. Thanks for the tunes. Jo would say, what was the first thing she said? I asked her this at lunch.
Excellent dancer.
Excellent dancer, which is nice. Yeah. Makes me feel good about myself. She'd sound quiet. Ever since I've known her, and as long as I've been married to her, she said, "You all right? Are you quiet? What, you quiet? You seem quiet today." And her mum's the same. Is Pete all right? He seems very quiet. It's just like I don't want to talk unnecessarily. I'm going to just fill the air with noise. So I'm quite happy in my own company. Mum knows full well I think quite happy as long as just in a room surrounded by gear like this and leads and wires and computers and stuff like that, which is why she makes me go dancing, because it's good. I do love it actually, but it's good that we do it, because otherwise I would probably be increasingly antisocial, which would be a shame, and I'd feel bad for her.
Well, I would quite like to see you as well.
Well, I suppose.
It'd be nice to not lose you to technology, but whatever.
It's only a matter of time.
Rob Young says, do you have any expensive hobbies? If so, do your family ever question how much money you spend on it, even with your financial experience?
They don't ever question how much I spend, but it does make it quite difficult for them to buy me stuff.
So difficult.
So what normally happens?
Well, we rather think, right, okay, we come together, what are we going to do? What can we get him? Oh, I've got this idea. Oh, wait, no, he bought himself that. Oh, wait, hang on. What about this? Oh, no, he's already got himself that. Normally, technology. Mark Russell says, job you wanted to do when you were growing up? Air hostess.
She always raises a laugh. Air hostess? No. It's called airline steward. I wanted to be an airline steward, which is basically a trolley dolly. And that's fine. I did really want to do that. I also wanted to be a graphic designer. I do remember that. And a pop star. So,
that's the most unattractive sound I've ever made.
That's okay. So yeah, pop star, airline steward, graphic designer, an eclectic mix, fair to say.
Jackie Hurst says, if you didn't work in finance, what do you think you would like to do instead?
Okay, so related question. So what I wanted to be growing up was an airline steward, a graphic designer, or a pop star. If I could do anything other than this, architect, I would say.
Yeah,
I'd love
like
to do that. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Like, love to design buildings. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Rob Lowry?
Doesn't matter. Thanks, Rob.
You have a lovely last name. I'm just butchering it. You can invite any 3 people from history to a dinner party you are hosting. Who would you invite and why?
So hard.
So many people.
So hard. Gary V would be one. I know it sounds predictable because I've said him before. I think Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, would be fascinating to talk to. Did I write anybody else down?
Neil Peart.
Neil Peart, of course. Oh, God rest his soul.
Is that the drummer from Rush?
The drummer from Rush. Yeah, and lyricist. To be honest, I'd want to talk to him because of his lyrics, really, and his philosophy and his poetry, rather than his godlike drumming skills.
He is.
So Neil Peart,
very talented.
Gary V, and Epictetus. Be interesting.
I said he is very talented, and then had to change it to was.
Yeah. R.I.P. Neil Peart.
We miss you. Lynn Beattie. What was your favourite Penzance pub and restaurant? What is your favourite Penzance?
Lynn, Mrs. Mummy Penny, good friend of mine. Hi, Lynn. Favourite Penzance pub and restaurant? I don't have one in Penzance really. 2 4 Street in Mousel.
Yeah.
2-4 Street Meals are fantastic food. For just a night, pub, decent views, Godolphin and Marizine.
Yeah, it's nice in
Look
there.
into Michael's Mount, and then Talley in St Ives, not Penzance, which is an amazing Thai restaurant.
June Smithson, she says, what happened to your wife who introduced you to the world of finance in the first place? Are you eternally grateful to her? And what does she do now?
Well, what happened to her? She's still my wife. She hasn't gone anywhere, and I am eternally grateful to her. Introduced me to the world of finance. Interesting way of putting it. It's not like she was in the world of finance, but she just taught me the basics of money management, because she did it all when we first got married, until it got to a point where it was a real pressure to her. Not least because we were a bit skint, and so it's like, okay, we needed to take a team approach. So she is still full-time at home. She's had a few years working for the National Trust, but that's sort of come to a natural end, so she's just considering what's next, and as ever doing an amazing job of running me and the household and you two.
Richard H. Jackson asks, what was the experience that impacted you most in your life?
Biggest impact, definitely, getting home at 5 o'clock in the morning from a shift at McDonald's 6 months or so after we got married, to a little note on the bottom step from Joe, who had obviously been stewing all evening and was annoyed.
Yeah.
And the note said, Pete, we have been to bed together 10 times in the last 48 days. Something's got to change! Exclamation mark. So it's like not leaving a whole lot of doubt, really. She was a paediatric intensive care nurse, so she was doing very long shifts. This was before you and Ellie came around. She was doing very long shifts, I was doing stupid shifts, and we just never saw each other, so it wasn't really conducive to a healthy marriage.
No.
So something did have to change, and what changed is that she had a decent degree and I didn't, so I had to find something else to do. And I had a mate who was they worked for the co-op in personal finance, so that's how I got my first job.
And that's how it began.
The rest, as they say,
Is history. Sorry, I'm
Reading
stalling
the next
over the next name.
do you want me to?
Sabia Nazir?
Sabia Nazir.
Sabia Nazir, what a
Perfect.
beautiful name. If you won £10 million on the lottery, what would you do with it? It doesn't have to be a sensible Mimo answer. Go crazy.
I did a video on this actually, so I'm going to refer you to that. So it does depend on 10 million quid's a decent number. I'd give away a chunk of it. You just don't need that much money. I'd make sure you two were set up
Thank you.
in some way, but not such a massive amount that you'd be lazy layabouts for the rest of your life.
Because that is what we are.
Yeah, which you wouldn't anyway, because we dragged you up right, I think. But yeah, I'd make sure you were okay. I'd make sure, obviously, usual stuff. Nothing really that interesting, Savia, really. Just make sure family were okay, extended family as well, mortgages paid off, stuff like that. Make sure we had what we need, using the power of financial planning tools to ensure that we had enough money to last us the rest of our life. And then build in a bit of extra and then give the rest away, because I'm just not interested in being mega rich at all. You
Right.
are.
Yeah, but then I'm 17.
Yes, exactly. All different. Okay, next.
Okie dokie. Julie Smith said, I was interested to hear in one of your previous podcasts that you used to live in the wonderful city of Cardiff. Did you go to Cardiff Uni?
Sort of. I went to Cardiff Institute, which is now Cardiff Metropolitan University, so not the Cardiff University.
Hey, Cardiff Uni.
I didn't try hard enough to get to Cardiff. It's Cardiff proper university. I got very bad results in maths and physics. Oh, it's a whole long story. I should never even done electronic engineering or electronic design. Much as I love technology, I could never do the maths, that kind of maths. Hated it. Hated my degree with a passion. Failed my second year. But Cardiff as a city is amazing, and in a bizarre circle of life type moment, you could well end up going there to university.
Yeah, no, it's out of the 4 that I had as a shortlist, Exeter, Brighton, Cardiff and Aberystwyth, I think, were my top 4. That definitely had the best course, which is English Literature with Creative Writing, which is a course you should have done.
Totally
or something English. You would have loved that.
I'll just have to live vicariously through you. But Cardiff's an amazing city. We've got friends and family there that you can sponge off and things like that. So, yeah, very cool.
Letty Winkworth says, can you do the 80s robot style dance? For some reason, I imagine you doing it to your theme tune. So no is your answer, Letty.
Clearly. No great
dear.
surprise.
Oh my god.
Wasn't there a question about me being a good dancer? Ballroom and Latin, not so much 80s robot, clearly.
No, that doesn't run in the family at all. I do ballet, you do ballroom.
Not
no
80s,
robot stuff. Vanessa Manika Noah
Sounds good.
asks, what was the worst financial mistake you have made? That's a good question.
This is a good question. Probably not joining the McDonald's pension scheme. Yeah, which I know means nothing to you, but back when I worked for McDonald's, it was a really good final salary scheme, even for, when I went in as salaried work, so when I went into management for them, I opted out of the pension scheme because back then, I made the mistake that lots of young people do. They think, why do I need a pension scheme? It's not going to get me anything until I'm in my 60s and I'm now 23 or whatever. Why do I need to join the pension? But if I had it done, it still wouldn't have been worth a load, but it would have been worth a bit for sure.
More than...
Yeah, so I think I've been so lucky. I haven't made a whole lot of financial mistakes. I haven't done anything monumentally stupid. I did put a couple of £1,000 in a Woodford fund in my pension. But other than that, I've been very blessed. I've not made any massive financial errors or mistakes that have had any kind of repercussions, fortunately.
That's good for a financial advisor, really.
And
or
for you.
planner, or whichever
whatever
one
it is
you are. I do pay attention to it. Gary Woodhull asks, do you wish you'd stayed at McDonald's? You might have had your own branch or franchise by now.
Nothing I want more than
Exciting.
A branch. No, I'm so glad I didn't stay at McDonald's. See, the earlier question about life-changing moments, I don't think I'd have still been married if I'd have still been at McDonald's. I tend to find, at least at the time I was there, McDonald's managers only ever married other McDonald's managers because they were the only people they ever saw, because you were literally just there all the time. So no, I don't miss it at all. Learned a lot there, mind. Learned a lot about management and a lot about managing people. But no, I didn't miss it from the day I left.
No, and, if you stayed there, I wouldn't be here, so...
No, that's true.
And a life without me is just...
not worth living.
Okay. Andrew Durack?
Andy Durack. Andy, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm not seeing you. Andy, hi. Thanks for the question.
He asks, what is your favourite walk in the Penzance area?
Can you really beat walking the coastal path?
I was going to say
down
Cape
St. Lloyd's?
Cornwall, but that's
Cape Cornwall.
St Just Way.
Yeah, that's alright. Penzance area.
Yeah, true.
St. Lloyd Woods.
Oh yeah, that's lovely.
Beautiful. Yeah. So some lovely parts of the world.
We haven't done that in ages, St. Lloyd.
Well, we used to live quite close, didn't we? But we don't now.
Oh, Cal. But I'm not going to say your last name, but we all know who that is. We're going to a nice pub-style restaurant. What is one thing you wish there would be on the menu before checking it out? And then, what would be your dessert to pair it with?
Everybody's just going to think I'm so boring. I would definitely want a decent steak as a fallback option. Oh, you don't have to, I mean.
But a really good steak.
A really good steak, if it's done really well, you just can't beat it. And actually, aforementioned 24 Street, they do an incredible steak, actually.
I know what you're saying.
I would probably look at... I do love a bit of salt and pepper squid.
Yeah. Oh.
So what would be my dessert?
Baked American cheesecake.
Oh, yes.
You
exactly.
love... And in 24 Street, they do an amazing one, apparently, don't they?
Yeah, the best baked cheesecake I've ever tasted in my life was at 24 Street in Mousehole. If you can get that on the menu, I'm a happy man. Anya
Weidman asks, do you think our children are growing up in a better world than we did? I have a straight up answer.
Do you? Go on then, what's your answer?
Absolutely not.
You think you live in a worse world than we did? Okay, for what reason?
Social media. Absolutely. No, seriously, I hate it. I really do. I mean, for this, it's great. Like, advice and stuff, but I think the amount of pressures on young... I mean, I'm not saying you lived a pressureless life. Like, you would have had...
Yeah, different
pressures, but I think there's a lot more online, especially. There's lots of, you have to look like this, you have to do this. If you want to be popular, you must do this. Of course, there's equivalents, but I think although technology is like our best friend and worst enemy all at once.
Yeah, it is. I'd agree with that. I think the world is better in many ways in that obviously this technology is just everything. It changes so much, and yet despite the advances in that, we've still got billions of people living way below the poverty line and stuff like that. We haven't yet found a way of harnessing technology to equalise things a little bit between people. But you're dead right about social media. I think your issue is, as a generation, is that you're never ever offline.
No.
It's not good for you. There's a brilliant line in a book by, I think it's Cal Newport, called Digital Minimalism, and there's a chapter in there, and it talked about the correlation between the rise in anxiety levels in university students, almost exactly matching at the point at which the iPhone was released, and that generation having access and being online all the time. And the last line on that chapter was just, we are not wired to be permanently wired. And
That's brilliant.
It's just a genius line, and it's true. We need time offline. It's just not good for us to be online all the time.
But then for the same reason, it's also a much better world than you grew up in for gay rights. There's women's equality, men's, like everything. In that sense, it's much better. But me personally, growing up, I think I would rather grow up in your era.
You are an old soul, though. You'd like to be raised in the 40s.
I have a flippin' pen pal. Like, what's going? I'm 17, going on 80. But yeah, I am an old soul. Okay, quick fire round.
Quick fire round. Okay, so these need to be quick, so no waffly answers from me.
Okay. James Earl, is the Audi RS4 still a dream car?
Yes, although I've grown up a bit, probably an RS6 now.
Okay. Amy Golby, what's your guilty pleasure?
Taylor Swift.
Don't you dare say it.
Love me a bit of Tay-Tay.
Tate is just...
It's not even guilty, I don't care.
No, you're very proud. Mm-hmm. That's fine. We sing it in the car, don't we?
We do.
Peter Phillips, what football team do you support?
The Arizona Cardinals, but if I had to say their soccer team, I would say Leicester City. Because I lived there for the 3 years while they were trying to get into the Premiership, and they did finally in the third year.
Carl Croot, what was the best thing before sliced bread? We looked up.
What was it, 1920 something?
28, I think.
Okay, best thing since then, I don't know, penicillin?
No, before then. You said that since then.
Since then. Best thing before sliced bread. Penicillin. I don't know. I wasn't alive then. I don't know, unsliced bread. I don't know.
Yeah, just bread.
I love bread. Bread is life.
David Carson says, your most embarrassing moment or mistake?
We did have a friend of ours while I was shooting the Easter Bunny video back from, I think, 2012 or something. So I'm dressed in a full bunny costume in the woods, and a good friend of ours happened to, well, actually not that good a friend, an acquaintance rather than a good friend, and it was just like, she just said, I'm not going to ask. Problem is, I don't get embarrassed easy. I mean, do you know what I mean?
There must be something. I mean...
If I got locked out of my hotel room butt naked, that would be
embarrassing. That would be embarrassing, yeah.
But I've just got no shame. You don't dress up as a bunny and run around, or in a morph suit, or take your trousers off on a video on YouTube.
With something underneath. Yeah. It's PG on this channel.
Yeah, it is.
Claire Cuthell? Are you any good at pub quizzes?
I do have a worrying memory for stuff that just doesn't matter. So I tend to be pretty good at the chase, or, not bad for general knowledge.
No, yeah.
But, yeah, I'm alright as long as you don't get into too much pop culture, like, Towie members or Made in Chelsea.
Yeah, we've just never watched those sort of things, have we? So, Graham Compton? Mm-hmm. Which size of the WWPD t-shirt actually fits?
XL, Graham. Thank you for sending me those. The girls actually do occasionally use them as pyjamas.
Something to go on a run with. We have all the sizes. I have 2, Ellie has 2, and you have XL.
And I have the one that fits.
Yeah. Craig Peace. Why are hot dogs sold in multiples of 8, yet hot dog rolls sold in multiple of 6?
I've no idea. The answer to that is to go to your local butcher, and then you can have as many sausages as you want. You can ask for 7 or 5.
4.5.
Well, I don't think you can have half a sausage. But maybe they would do you a smaller one. But other than that, I don't know.
Dean Robert Noble asks, if you weren't involved in the finance industry, would you prefer to be a shepherd or a goat herd?
When I first read this question, I was like, well, shepherd, obviously, because they don't have horns, and then I remember the boy sheep do.
The boy sheep.
Rams.
Thank you.
So I don't know. I think shepherd. So yeah.
And you get a collie.
You do get a collie.
And
do goats not respond to collies?
I mean, they might try to ram it, mightn't they? With their horn. Can't say I am either.
Did you say that you use the word ram for a goat?
I meant as in like ram their head into it.
I wonder if that's where the word comes from. Anyway, we digress. Quick fire round.
Wow. Yeah, this is not very quick fire. Laura Murphy asks, would you ever retire abroad?
Absolutely not under any circumstances. I can't imagine doing that. I'm just too much of a creature of habit.
And we live in a holiday destination.
Yeah, we do. We're very lucky. Yeah, you don't need to live anywhere else.
Tom Austin, what is your favourite chocolate bar or childhood sweets?
Childhood sweet would be squirrels, cherry lips and floral gums. Ideally a quarter of each, mixed up please. That's what you used to
I'm
ask
so
for.
glad I didn't.
A quarter of floral gums and a quarter of cherry lips, all mixed up please. That's what you used to ask for. But now, Lindt Nacho Latte.
Lindt is just...
Lindt is life.
No, bread is life, according to you earlier.
Bread and Lindt are life.
Martin Overton, can you remember the cooking time of a McDonald's apple pie, and what was your favourite station? Go.
7 minutes, I believe. I'm sure 7 minutes was the longest thing to take to cook. My favourite station was on the grill, actually, flipping the burgers.
Heather Ellis, best and worst things about lockdown. You're quite enjoying lockdown.
I am. That's because I'm an antisocial son. So,
yeah.
So fewer interruptions is a good thing about lockdown. To be honest, working from home, nobody's just sort of coming up and knocking the door and asking for questions or anything like that. But so that's quite good. But actually, I do really miss the office.
Yeah.
So it's nice to obviously just to get out and have that kind of routine. I'm so a creature of habit. It's ridiculous. So not going into the office is bit of a pain.
Sarah Norman says, custard, ice cream or cream?
Custard.
You always go for custard.
100%.
Alan Wilson, Dire Straits or Iron Maiden growing up?
Neither. Rush, obviously.
Alright. Although Rush are good. They are good.
Rush our life.
Everything is our life to you in this video. Paul Hemming, Marmite and peanut butter. Should it be allowed?
And?
Yeah.
No, that
absolutely not.
Maybe peanut butter and jam on the other hand, definitely, but Marmite and peanut butter.
I mean, I don't like either. Lady Odini, I hope I'm saying that right. What is your favourite book?
God, how do you even answer that?
I know.
Love the Harry Potter series.
Oh, yes.
Probably favourite ever fantasy novel, because I do like fantasy stuff, is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Love Ego is the Enemy, love Ryan Holiday full stop, love everything that he's written. Impossible to nail it down to a favourite, absolutely impossible. Classic novel, maybe Frankenstein.
Yeah, you do mention that, don't you?
Yeah, I did it at A-level English, that's why.
Yeah, I wish I studied that in mine. I don't, and I would rather study that.
Still.
Yes, you can't read anything you're not studying. Nick Mitchell, what is your favourite Disney movie, and is that because it conveys a certain message? Ooh.
Profound question, Nick, and thank you for everything you do in the Memo group, Nick. Disney film I could watch over and over and over again would probably be Monsters University and Monsters Inc.
Coco.
We love The Incredibles. Anything Pixar. Incredibles 2, actually.
Incredibles are my favourite movies of all time.
You love The Incredibles. I think probably the most profound Pixar movie is Inside Out.
Final 2 questions now.
Okay.
Andy Norman asks, what are your best insights from your study of Stoicism so far, and what actions are you taking to put those insights into practice?
Such a massive question. Oh my gosh. So I'm at early stages in my sort of enjoyment and study of the Stoic thing, although it's one of my goals for the year is to read 5 Stoic books and then write an essay on them, specifically how it relates to finance and life generally. But definitely not sweating the stuff you can't control and only worrying about the stuff you can, which primarily is about how you respond to things. Right? So if it's in the finance world, you can't do anything about the economy, stock market, government intervention, you can't do anything about COVID-19, but you can control what your reaction is, or you can learn to do that more and more. So that's quite an important lesson, obviously. But as I get into it more, starting to learn about things like negative reinforcement. So in other words, making a point of imagining bad things happening so that you can try to gauge how you will react, prepare yourself for them, but also that engenders gratitude because those things haven't happened. I just love the fact that it's really down to about self-control and you living the best life you can and not worrying about anybody else.
Okay, the final question. by Tijol Gudka.
Well
What do you think you've missed out on, if anything, when dedicating so much to Meaningful Money in 10 years? Has it affected any other aspects of your life, negatively and positively? What a question.
It's a great question to end on. So I think I'm fairly good at managing my time. So for the last couple of years I've been pretty strict that Meaningful Money is Monday and Tuesday evening and all day Friday. Try not to do it on the weekend, try not to do any other nights, because Joe and I got dancing, I've got musicians practice at church on a Thursday, so I'm pretty good at compartmentalising my week, unless there's something else going on. So I just launched the academy and I've done an awful lot of evenings and quite a few late nights and quite a lot of weekend work as well in the run up to that, but that's unusual.
That's a special case.
It is. I don't feel like I missed out on too much, really. I mean, you might, I don't know, have a view on that. Do you think I've been a terrible absent father?
Yes, I can't go. No, I mean, if anything for you, I'd say it's given you more experiences. You know, you've gone to cool award shows and met new people.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's been good for my personal development because it's enabled me, even being a raging introvert, which surprises most people. Most people think I must be very outgoing, but even being a raging introvert, because people know who I am, which sounds like a subtle flex as well, but if I go to, a conference or something like that, people know who I am because of Meaningful Money, and that makes it very easy to talk to people because they end up talking about that, which of course I could talk about all day. But I'm getting better at making a point of going to introduce myself to people and speak to them about them and not about me.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't think I've missed out. I think it's been positive in many ways. I don't think I've missed out. If I have, I'm not aware of it.
No.
Perhaps you'd ask Mum.
Yeah, probably. I don't think I've ever been affected by it like that. You know, no one's stopping me on the streets yet, but...
No, just back in the early days where you had to sit quietly while I shot a video when we were out on a walk or something.
I'm not that good at.
And that's actually a good way to finish off. So thank you to Kate for asking the questions. Thank you to you for sending all the questions in. And, we'll do it again in 10 years. Okay, folks, there you go. All very low-key, as I said, given the current circumstances. I'll do perhaps more of a celebration later in the year when things more resemble life as it used to be. But for now, I just want to say a massive thank you to you, the listeners, for keeping me going for 10 years. The emails and the comments that you send every single day, they are such an encouragement. I can't tell you how much it all means that this labour of love, which it is so well received by you. Thank you again, obviously, to 7am for continuing to sponsor me. They've made so much of this possible. Couldn't have done it without them, for sure. To my family, obviously, for the sacrifice that they make in enabling me to do this. But thank you especially to you for continuing to watch and to listen. So I hope you enjoyed my conversation with my darling daughter, Kate. I'll just bring in the music and say that next week, Season 17 begins, so stay tuned for that. You'll find out more about that next week. But that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. Bit of fun. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you next time.